Hello dear students, welcome to English grammar class. We have started with the 8th lesson, verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. In the previous class, that is yesterday's class, I had explained you about what is verb, what is subject, what is object, and also what is transitive verb. In a sentence, if I have a subject and if I have an object, then it is called as a transitive verb. And if I have only the subject in the sentence and no object, then it is called as intransitive verb. Now coming to the transitive verb. In transitive verb, I have a subject and also I have an object. Sometimes in the sentence there can be a direct object and an indirect object. So what is the difference between this direct object and indirect object? Go to page number 46. You can just see there verbs with a double object. Direct object receives the action or is affected by the action indicated by the verb. Indirect object receives the direct object or is the one for whom or to whom the action is done. So just read it once again. You will understand what is direct object and indirect object. Direct object receives the action or is affected by the action indicated by the verb. So this subject, when it is doing some action on one thing, then that thing is called as a direct object. But when I turn that sentence into a question like whom, for whom or to whom is this action being performed? So when I ask this question, for whom or to whom, then it becomes an indirect object. This direct object is performing some action on this indirect object. So subject is performing on direct object and this direct object is performing again some thing on indirect object. I hope it is clear. If not, just go through the example. The hostess served us the dessert. One desert is that the land full of sand, that is called as desert, desert. And if double sert is coming, then it is a sweet which is served in the hotels right after having food. So the hostess served us the dessert. Here you can see that the hostess is the subject. And what is the hostess doing? She has served the dessert. Dessert is the direct object. Now this direct object is being served to whom? I am asking the question, to whom is the dessert served by the hostess? To? Answer is to us. So us is the indirect object. Now the flight attendants gave the passengers roses. Now who is the subject here? The flight attendants. Flight attendants is the subject. Now what did they give? They gave the roses. So roses is the direct object. Which is the indirect object here? Passengers. To whom were the roses given by the flight attendants? To the passengers. So passengers is the indirect object. I hope it is clear to you all. Direct object and indirect object. Next, we will be seeing the position of the indirect object. So where should I place this indirect object? Will it come in the beginning of the sentence? Will it come in the middle of the sentence or at the end of the sentence? It is going to depend on how I am going to frame the sentence. They have given you the example. Just see there. Granny told my cousins stories of her childhood. Indirect object is my cousins and direct object is stories of her childhood. Now when I frame this sentence with the help of preposition, which are the prepositions to, for, then the sentence changes. Just see that. Granny told stories of her childhood to my cousins. Indirect object is my cousins and direct object is childhood, of a childhood. So the way I frame the sentence, on that way the position of the direct object and indirect object is going to change. We'll read there. The indirect object is always placed before the direct object in a sentence. However, the indirect object can be placed after the direct object as a part of a prepositional phrase using to or for. So usually when I am framing a sentence, I should use what they have said. Indirect object is placed first and then the direct object is placed. So first subject will come, then indirect object will come, and then the direct object will come. That is how I should frame a sentence. But when I am using prepositions, then I will be using first the subject, then the direct object, and then the indirect object. And which are the prepositions? To and for. So you can frame the sentence in both the ways. There is no issue. Now they have asked us to solve the exercise. Exercise A. Circle the transitive verbs and underline the direct objects. First sentence, the children gave us a pleasant surprise. So which is going to be the verb here? Gave. Gave is going to be the verb. And which is going to be the direct object? A pleasant surprise. So just try to solve this others. Just find which is the verb and which is the direct object. Second one, the poachers wanted the elephants for their tusks. So the verb is transitive verb or the action performed is wanted. So circle it. The elephants is the direct object. Now can you see there in the second sentence for word is being used. For means it is a preposition. So after preposition I will be using the indirect object. So indirect object is their tusks. Tusk means you just see in the picture they have shown two teeth, long teeth of the elephants. Those are called as tusks. Solve the remaining exercise and I have already explained you intransitive verb. In intransitive verb I don't have a object, a direct object or a indirect object. Just I am having a subject. Read the sentence there. Verbs that do not require an object to make sense or to convey a meaning are called intransitive verbs. Sometimes these sentences which are there in intransitive verbs, they do not give us the complete meaning of the sentence because there is no object being used. Only subject is there and verb is there. Such sentences are called as intransitive verbs. The man died in an accident. Here there is no object. Died is the intransitive verb. The man is the subject. And accident, it is just something has happened. But where? If it is given there on the road, then the road is going to be the indirect object. I hope you are clear with this intransitive verb also. Try to solve exercise B. Mark which is transitive and which is intransitive. Thank you.